Tuesday morning, day 2 of the new year, and I hope everybody's finding it amazing. I'm excited this year. We're going to talk this morning about a number of things, including resolutions. Now, normally I'm not a person who buys into that because I feel like you should change your life all year round, but this year I am about some New Year's resolutions. So I'll talk about it a couple of times during this live, but I'm excited tonight because I will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Mountain time if you need it is for you. I'm going to be going live with a doctor. We're going to talk about resistant insulin resistance, how he's helping people along with the great system overcome insulin resistance that's been there and causing problems for a long time. We're going to talk about some fasting and the method that he's come up with that's actually helping people not only reverse their insulin resistance, but start to address some of the long-term issues. So I'm really excited. That's 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, right here, or whatever channel you're watching on. We're going to do that. And so today, what I want to, part of what it is there is a 48-hour fast. Now, you guys know I've done a 5-day fast. I've done a 7-day fast. I've done a 10-day fast. I've done an every other day fast because I want to clean my cells up and get my body back in order. We're going to discuss all of that, why fasting works, why it's so important. You do not have to do 5, 7, or 10-day fasts. That was me just doing some things to help my health and see how it worked. But today starts my very first 48-hour fast. I've been trying to do a couple days, a couple of weeks, and just the holidays got in the way and all the activity and all the stuff. You guys, that's one thing I want to talk about too. How many of you guys have felt like you started something and you just couldn't get going? We're going to talk about that tonight too. Some of the psychology of why it's so hard to get started when you're trying to do something new. But follow along because we're going to try this year, hopefully your life along the way. We're going to discuss all of that. But today I'm starting a 48-hour fast. So I know last month I had been talking about doing a 36 and 12 fast or an every other day fast all month. And so I had someone message me yesterday and they probably hadn't heard the couple of lives where I talked about I had changed. Why did I change that? Because I started working with this doctor and I thought, well, if I'm going to do his program, which I'm actually going to do his program, and we're going to talk about it, then I need to be doing it. So will I do a 36 and 12 fast again? Probably. But right now for the next 2 months, if you guys want to follow along, if you want to try it, we're going to do a 48-hour fast every week. Now, that seems daunting, right? How many of you guys think, oh my God, I don't want to fast 48 hours every week? Type a 1 in if you think that a 48-hour fast every week is just way too crazy for you. Or if you don't understand why you should do it, that's great. We just need to get a read, right? So if you want to follow, I'm starting that 48-hour fast every single week to help get rid of my resistant insulin resistance, right? Still doing the Feel Great system, still doing the tea in the morning, still doing the fiber every day. We're going to talk about all of that and different types of fasting. And I would love for any of you guys who want to do this to try and get to those issues in your body, maybe have been there for a while, and reverse that. Follow along with us. Now, on top of it, because I can never do one thing at once. You guys, by now, if you know me, you know I'm ADHD. Nothing is ever very singular for me unless I'm hyper focused. But I've had some liver issues. Most people with insulin resistance have had liver issues, right? I had heart issues. I had a number of other things going on. So I about twice a year. So along with this, in the new year, to get set up for everything going great, I'm going to be doing a cleanse as well. If you guys want to do the cleanse with me, we're going to talk about it tonight, why the cleanse is important and why we should be doing a cleanse every once in a while. It's there's a lot of information ways, right? So if you're not on board, then you listen to the people you listen to. But for me, I know that my liver function was failing. when I got diagnosed with diabetes. So many things. My heart was failing. I had sleep apnea. I had 50 pounds more on my body. I had all this stuff going on. Some of this fasting and cleanse has helped pull my liver back into a normal state as far as my labs go. So 48-hour fast every week, and I'm going to be doing a cleanse for this 2 months that I'm doing that. Now, hopefully that's going to become a lifestyle, and I'm going to do that or some other sort of extended fasting. The reason we do it is to help your body get used to having lower levels of insulin. So up above it says stop on the sugar. I was reading interesting from Dr. Bickman, one of the top metabolic scientists in the world this morning, and he was talking about I can never say it right, sulfonamides, something like that. Anyway, and how they're actually increasing the insulin to help Alzheimer's. So if, again, let's ask the question, if insulin is already the problem, you're resistant to insulin because you have too much in your system, why would we ever be doing medications that are increasing the insulin? We want to get the insulin down. So, and I've done this too. We talk about the sugar, right? We talk about carbohydrates, get the carbohydrates down to get the insulin down, but it's not that simple. So some of the things that are happening, you guys, is when we start addressing sugar in that form, that like, okay, we're just going to cut out all sugar, we're going to go carnivore, we're going to do all these other things. It may work in the short term, but what happens is now you're making a situation in your body where it doesn't recognize and understand how to deal with sugar. So when you go on very low sugar diets, what's happening is you're training your body to freak out and pump out even more the minute you do have a bite of sugar. And I don't think that's what any of us want. So now you're causing more insulin dysregulation by strictly monitoring that sugar. Instead, when we do the fasting, what's happening is teaching our body to both utilize insulin, but to utilize our fat cells, and it's helping to regulate the insulin instead of causing more dysregulation of insulin. So we've got to be careful. Too much sugar is bad, but cutting it all out means the next time you have it, it's almost going to be like an allergic reaction that just popped in my brain. So I used to work in allergy clinics. And one thing we noticed was when people had absence of something in their life, that's when they had allergies to it. So like I have allergies here in Maryland. I've never been around this much deciduous trees and all of this stuff. My body's getting used to it. If you take something away from your body long term, it doesn't know how to cope with it. So if you would think about it, like if you take all the sugar out of your diet, I'm not saying that you are allergic to it, but I'm saying your body can react in a way that it seems like it's allergic to the sugar, as in it doesn't know how to deal with it. And you start having all of a number of other issues, or potentially have other issues. So the better way is to just understand that eating too much is bad, right? That's not good. We all know that. So we've got to get it to a normalized level and then deal with the rest of that insulin problem by understanding that we just eat too much. It is really like a multifaceted approach to get insulin under control. When we start focusing just on the sugar levels to get the insulin under control, that's only a one-sided approach that can cause even more damage to you later on if you ever decide to have a bite of cake or have that ice cream at a birthday party or try that. Like, we're all human. There's times things are going to happen. I mean, I keep thinking of the Petersons, right? Jordan and his daughter, and they're doing the carnivore diet, and they're they have a very different mindset. And let's talk about that. It's a crazy morning, right? So you guys understand that, yeah, Petty Me, tell me what you think is your problem. But I want everybody to understand we all have different levels of resilience, of persistence, of that. You don't have the same level of resilience, persistence as someone else. It just means you haven't been through as many struggles as them. It's not a bad thing. It's not a judgment on you. So one of the reasons I try to find like a midline approach here is because I want to touch as many people as possible and help as many people as possible. Carnivore diet may be great for some people. Not everybody has that kind of commitment. Veganism might be great for some people, but it might not be for everybody's body. Getting rid of all of the sugar might be great for some people, but for many people, it's unrealistic. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Petty me if you'll tell me what you think was. We'll address that, and then L.I. Lig. So if you have hypo and most of these symptoms, let's go over what that looks like and why that might be a problem. So petty me, yeah, I'm going to be doing more research on all of this, and because new science is coming out, new information is coming out, and so I'm really trying to dive in. It makes sense to me in my gut. What I'm learning is, and I want you guys to understand this too. Listen to stuff. If it like makes sense up here, but something down here is saying, "Oh no, this is no good." Listen to that. In my gut, this sounds right. Not just because I want to be able to have sugar when I want it, but because I believe in, this midline approach to life. Yeah. So I know that many, 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 many people have talked about cutting their carbohydrates way below 20 grams per day. And that's probably great. But what I'm understanding now from the science that I'm reading now is, so you've gotten the sugar levels down, you've gotten the insulin levels down because you addressed the sugar, but now you're creating more insulin resistance in the fact that when you have any type of sugar, whether it be from your fruits, your vegetables, whatever, it doesn't have to be a piece of cake, your body is dysregulating the insulin again, and you're starting to have problems again right away. So that's I feel like I just talked in a circle, but there is got to be a better way, right? So I want to go back to the legs. So hypo and all of those. I'm going to talk about what insulin resistance is then, and we're going to talk about why you have hypo and these symptoms. Most likely, I'm not a doctor, don't know your medical history, can't diagnose you, but putting those things together, I want to talk about that. Insulin resistance really is, for me, it's kind of twofold, but there's actually more things than that. So we eat too often. That's why I talk about fasting so much. We do not need to eat as often as we're eating. It's just never in history have we eaten this much. Our body mechanisms are not made for us to continuously eat, snack, all of the stuff. Eat every 2 hours is the worst thing for your metabolism to ever do. That's how I ended up at over 270 pounds, was trying to eat smaller portions every 2 hours, and it destroyed my metabolism. Now, the other part is the sugars, right? We need to keep the sugars under control, but does that mean cutting them out? Like, let's talk about that. If you're in a disagreement with your husband or your partner, and you guys just can't seem, because you just have two different mindsets, are you going to learn to work with your husband, or are you just going to divorce him? Like, because that's what we're doing with sugar. Our body needs some glucose. Yes, it can make glucose out of things, but let's deal with that. So insulin resistance, eating too much, too often. I'm stuck on the sugar thing this morning. Creates this environment in our body where our body's turning too much into energy. That type of energy is glucose in our body. So Mary G, what was I eating? For a number of years, I was keto, by the way. So I wasn't doing the fasting, but I was keto. So yeah, figure that out. All right, so too much food too often, too much food that's turning into sugar too often is creating this need for insulin. When we have those high levels of glucose in our system, it creates a need for insulin in our system. So one of the analogies I've been talking about is like this. If you live in an apartment building or a condo or whatever, and you have this nice little old lady who comes along and knocks on the door and says, "Do you want to bring you cookies or anything for you?" So sweet, and you open the door every time she knocks, but she doesn't knock all the time, right? It's appropriate. But all of a sudden, a bunch of college students run in. And this is not a bash on college students, but we all know they're high energy. So they're running around the halls. They're knocking on everybody's doors. They're pulling pranks. They're doing all this stuff. Pretty soon, nobody in that building wants to open their doors. They're locked. Everybody's hiding in their places afraid. They don't want to go out in the halls because they don't know what chaos they're going to see. That's what our body is like when we have too much insulin in our body. Our receptors on our cells shut down. And every single cell in our body has a receptor for insulin, because that's how it takes up the energy to be able to do the job it needs to do, whatever cell it is. So when this happens and we have this insulin running high in the system all the time, we're going to talk about your hypoglycemia. So you eat something and it pushes your sugar level up. Your insulin level rises to match that sugar level because it's got to deliver that energy to the cells. And it does that fine. But you're continually doing it, and now the insulin level's high all the time. So it's running around like those college students, knocking on the door all the time. Cells aren't taking up that energy. Insulin is working harder and harder and harder to try and do its job. When it can't get it in those cells, it starts dumping it in the fat cells. But now insulin is high because you've trained it to be high by eating soda and eating really high carbohydrate foods. And now when you do eat, your sugar levels go up. Insulin is already up. The wait to come, insulin is already up. It grabs that sugar, delivers it, whether it's in the fat cells or those cells that love the drama, and take it up in excess, and your blood sugars plummet. Because you've already had so much insulin in your system and trained your body that insulin's got to get rid of it because you're just going to eat again. And what has been the old knowledge? Your blood sugars drop to just eat something really high in sugars and to get your blood sugar levels back up. And so now you're in a cycle of pushing that up and your blood sugars plummet again. And then you do something like orange juice, which is just fructose with some vitamins. I shouldn't say just pure fructose, but now your blood sugars are up again and your insulin says, oh, I'm here and I'm going to do my job. And now it delivers it and your blood sugars drop again. So you're in this negative cycle. You can drop to about 60 in your blood sugars without damage, as long as you're not having fatigue or headaches or those chills or all of that. Those are indications that your body's out of control. Now, if you're not very insulin sensitive and you're having this bouncing around, that's going to take a while for you to be able to get to 60. Those implications. So you need to keep your sugar levels a little tighter. That's going to mean eating healthy, long-lasting forms of carbohydrates or glucose. So one of the reasons I do the system is because the packet that I drink before I eat anything, helps regulate those blood sugars. So I'm still getting the energy from food. It's just not hitting my bloodstream at once. It's delivering it over time, and so that my body isn't having those rise and fall in blood sugars. You may also be feeling like you're cold after you eat or just really fatigued after you eat. That's an indication that your blood sugars are really unregulated and your insulin is really unregulated. So it's more about regulating insulin than it is blood sugars. We need to understand that. Yes, we have to get the blood sugars under control. Stop eating so often, eating pure carbs, and eat some things like protein that actually turn into energy in your body and keep you fuller longer and doesn't cause that spike and drop in insulin and sugar levels that cause the insulin spike. Now, there was a question. Yeah, so I do fast now, 16 hours every day. What I'm doing today is I'm starting this protocol by this doctor that I'm working with, because I've been insulin resistant now. We don't have a test to say that, okay? But we look at my symptoms and some things that happen and understand that I've been insulin resistant probably since my late teens, early 20s. For me, that's almost 40 years of insulin resistance. About, what is it now? 3.5, 4 years ago, it finally turned into diabetes, which means that, yeah, the ketogenic diet did work some because I was insulin resistant, but I wasn't pushing into diabetes. But now we understand that when you're insulin resistant for that long, it doesn't just reverse completely right away. Yes, my sleep is better. Yes, my joints are better. Yes, my blood pressure is under. All of those big factors are under control, but I still have excess weight. There's a lot of things, and the doctor and I are going to talk about that tonight, why someone who's been insulin resistant for a long time is resistant to losing weight. And so some of you may be noticing this. One of the things I don't often talk about here, because weight is not in itself an indicator of your health. Now, if you're morbidly obese, yeah, there's a problem. If you're slightly obese or what people call thick, then you need to understand that at your weight, you could be internally healthier than somebody who's very thin. So what I advocate for is everybody starting to pay attention to your body and understanding how your body feels when you do certain things. I've learned to play Fortnite with my kids, and it's a great time. We spend a lot of time, we're all over the nation, and so it's a time when we can like sit and chat and do something together. But I spent way too many hours doing it, and I get fatigued. Fatigue and high cortisol levels can cause insulin resistance as well. You guys have to pay attention to what you're doing to your body, and not just expect that a pill or something is going to fix what you've been doing incorrectly. Part of it's we've not been taught, right? So now we're learning, and we need to learn the right ways. So there's a couple of things that keep popping through my head. I almost got banned the other day for talking about this, but in reality, we had this discussion at my kid's house last night because my daughter-in-law says, "Oh, it's not the sugar, it is." But what happened about 50 years ago, a little more than that, when Ansel Keys said that fat's bad for you, I want you guys to understand, fats flavor your food. They give it that intense flavor. That's why a steak that's marbled with fat tastes so much better than one that has all the fat cut off of it, right? So fats were a staple in our diets, and they were what we used to flavor things. But fats are satiating. Fats are good for your metabolism. Fats make you, satiating means you're not hungry again later. So if you're having protein and fats, you're not going to have all the hunger later. So when Ansel Keys said that, the food industry kind of jumped on it and said, well, what are we going to do to flavor food so that people want to eat it? Well, then came in sugar, and everything started to have extensive amounts of sugar in it to flavor it. Well, what happens when you eat sugar is it's the least satiating. Yes, fat and fiber, Pamela, perfect. She says she's focusing on fat and fiber, and it's a game changer. So when they started dumping more sugar into our products to flavor, we started being hungry more often because we weren't satiated. We would eat, and you guys will see this now. You have a bagel, you have oatmeal, you have cereal for breakfast. Within a half an hour for some people, an hour or two, people are hungry afterward. That's because carbohydrates burn through our body so quickly, and they've removed fiber that slows down that delivery of those carbohydrates into our system. Carbohydrates bad? No. In high amounts without the proper fiber with them? Yeah, probably. So now we have this system where everything is high in carbohydrates, low in fiber, low in fat, and now they're trying to mask it by saying it's high protein. Some things are saying, oh, it's high in fiber. That's just not enough. So that's kind of where we've been lied to. So the food that we're eating, the way that we eat now, is making us be hungry all the time, which is really great for the food industry because you buy more food, you buy more snacks, you buy all the stuff. And I have to realize, like in my house, my grandson comes over and I have what I call a Kenny cabinet. It's the buffet that used to sit behind me. It has his toys in it. It has his gaming stuff in it. But one whole section of it is snacks. And I'm like, in my head, that's what we should do, right? That's how I was trained. You give snacks. So we're trying to clean that up. And I told them, we're not going to have all the sugary stuff. We're not going to have all that available because I don't want him ending up where I was. We've got to switch our eating ways and our thinking about food. Unfortunately, the food industry has trained us to eat the way we do, and we've just kind of followed along. Because look, life is busy and we all have things we want to focus on. And so we don't want to not everybody wants to go out and learn about nutrition and all that. That's not where we're at, right? You have things you've got to focus on. So it's not, none of this is about making anybody feel bad. It's just that we got to learn better. And more science is coming out saying the things that I'm talking about with the fiber. I hear more and more and more about fiber and this whole thing with the sugar, not cutting the sugar, but learning, to do some fasting to help with the sugar. That's going to help. What was I eating on keto? Well, like, because I was keeping it below 50 grams of carbohydrates, most days 30 grams of carbohydrates. But remember, that probably trained my body to not be used to sugars as well. So like I might have, and I would eat the fat part, but I might have like a plain hamburger patty with some spinach, maybe a little tomato and onion on it, some mustard because it doesn't have sugar in it. For It was like a lot of chicken, maybe some, if I could afford it in my calories, mushrooms, tomatoes sauteed in butter, but it was just a lot of protein. I didn't do rice. I didn't do any form of refined carbohydrate at all for almost 10 years when I was competing as a world champion athlete. So that was my diet. Now let's get back down here. Yep. So, and this whole thing I just talked about with the sugars, that's why we're craving food all the time, because we're getting food in that's giving us energy, but it goes through us so quickly that our body says, "Ooh, I need more energy," and now we're eating again. You're so welcome. Thank you, Aaron. All right, am I seeing a naturopathic doctor? Naturopathic doctors, I love them primarily for my own healthcare. What I use when I see a naturopathic doctor, when I see a doctor, is a naturopathic doctor. There was one up in Spokane, Washington, when I lived on the West Coast. He used a German technology that had he had vials that it would test the vibration of that with my system to tell what I needed and what I didn't. He was the first person to understand that my thyroid was dysregulated and that I was probably Hashimoto's, not just hypothyroid. And at that time, he had me, my synthroid would have had to been 5 times the amount in order to touch my thyroid problems. And at that time, it would also be killing my kidneys. So I love naturopathic doctors. I just don't believe that we need medications all the time. I love allopathic doctors who are reaching more into osteopathy, where they're finding more natural cures. And I love naturopathic doctors. Yes. And I'm going to let the doctor come on tonight and speak for himself, and tell you all about it. I don't want to ruin all that. He's amazing. By the way, the guy is doing the system, but he also had really hard weight issues, and like me, found that he was having a difficult time getting that weight off and not having all the loose skin that comes with weight loss. You guys, whew, some of these drugs that you're doing, when you're not doing fasting and you're not paying attention to what you're putting in your body, you're going to have loose skin, you're going to have muscle loss, and that's not cool. So the doctor is going to be on live with me tonight, and I'm going to let him talk about it. He will be here on all these platforms tonight. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok at 7 p.m. East Coast time. So 4 p.m. West Coast, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central. So that's when he'll be on, and we'll be on for an hour. We're going to talk about fasting. We're going to talk about insulin resistance. We're going to talk about the system. We're going to talk about all of these things for those of you who feel like the rest of your health has gotten better, like me, like your blood pressure is under control, your sleep is under control, all of those things are under control, but you're still having some problems dropping the weight. He's going to be on with me at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, and we're going to try and do this on Tuesday night now. That he is on the system. He does the system as well. Yes. We have a number of doctors, you guys, that are on the system. And the ones, look, if they've done the system themselves, not just read about it, not just done whatever, but they've said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try the system. And they try it and they see what happens. Almost every doctor I've heard about that's done that is on the system. And we have a cardiologist in, I think it's Wisconsin, I'm trying to, like, my head is on fire right now. He prescribes it to every single patient that walks through the door because of how much getting insulin under control affects your heart. Okay. So whether their heart disease, insulin resistance or not, the fact is that addressing insulin resistance can help address all of the things up here and just make life better. So that one thing, and more and more and more and more doctors are coming out talking about how insulin resistance really is linked to almost everything that we're suffering from today. That's lifestyle related, right? So if we can address this one thing and stop throwing a pill at it and stop throwing all of this nonsense at it, then we can actually start to find health again. So one of the stories that I like to talk about is, I mean, for me, it's myself, right? Because it's very personal. But what you guys don't know is that some of you don't know. Many of you that are here today don't know this. I had a walker and a cane and disability plates 2 years ago. So I'm going to show you that. I want to show you this picture of me. So this, you guys, 2 years ago, this was me. Okay. Insulin resistant as heck. This picture right here on the left, that was me. Over 270 pounds. I was in pain. I'm smiling because I try to be a happy person, but inside I was devastated. My life, I've been a world champion athlete just a few years before that, and then this whole thing called insulin resistance took control, and I was devastated. Here's my walker and my cane the day I was donating it, partway in the system, and now I'm able to get back in the gym and lift again, which I hadn't been able to do for a while. Honestly, I haven't been in the gym for a few months. I'm busy. One of my year's things, because I want to get myself back in track, is to get back to the gym. But at this point, I couldn't walk up and down stairs. It was painful. It was like my friends that know me, and their Steph is one, during that time, trying to go up and down stairs, if I had to face stairs, I immediately, internally, I wanted to cry because it was so much pain just downstairs. And my legs and my lower body were caving under me. And so I would grab the handrails and just pull myself up the stairs. A lot of upper body to get up and down the stairs because everything down there hurt. Hips, knees, everything. I've had 2 hip replacements and 1 knee replacement before I found out that this whole thing was linked to insulin resistance. The right knee was supposed to get replaced 2 years ago. It's regenerated its cartilage. It's regenerated its synovial fluid. It no longer needs to be replaced. So insulin resistance being linked to all stuff, absolutely. And now the difference is, instead of doing that and being like, oh my gosh, if there's not an elevator, I would go to the gym and use the elevator to get upstairs because it was so much pain. And then I felt like a fraud because here I am trying to work out and get healthy, and having to regulate the exercises I could and couldn't do, and having to use the stairs to go up and down when I had just been a world champion powerlifter with a 400-pound squat and almost 500-pound deadlift, and now I can't even go up and down stairs. Now, 2.5 years later, my blood pressure is under control. I'm off of 10 different medications, and my son has stairs at his house, and I walk up and down the stairs without handrails and oftentimes carrying multiple bags of stuff. So aging and getting better by addressing my insulin resistance, is the world. And sure, I'll talk to you guys about that because I really haven't talked about the system. Guys, I get so focused on talking about all the stuff with insulin resistance because I want you to get better, I forget to talk about the system. So for everybody who doesn't know, what I do is this tea that I'm drinking in the morning, it's warm now. It's supposed to be hot. This tea shuts down your hunger. You got to go back a few weeks. But there's a video, maybe I'll repost it, a video that I did with Dr. Huberman talking about this specific type of tea, not our tea in specific, but this yerba mate tea, and how it shuts down the gut from feeling hungry by making it feel a little distended, and how it shuts down centers in the brain that make you feel hungry. So it's shutting down your hunger without adding fuel in. But what it does as well, and he doesn't talk about it in that video, but it's allowing you to, or helping you to kick out ketones. So now you're burning more fat for fuel, which gives you even more energy. It's a high energy drink that's not causing heart problems because you're using your own fat for energy. This tea, I have it hot in the morning. It helps with motility. It helps with fat. It helps with misery and a feeling of. They did a short study, and the people who did this tea for 30 days, just one a day for 30 days, noticed an increase in their wellness score of 75%, meaning they felt happier, better with life, and more calm about life than they had before. That's the tea in the morning. So then in the evening or in the afternoon or whatever point of day I actually eat, I have a fiber, which this has 7 different types of fiber, but it also has phytosterols, plant nutrients, and vitamins and minerals that help with your metabolism. But the biggest thing it does, it goes in and it creates this gel matrix in your gut that now encapsulates the sugars that you are eating, so it slows them down. It makes you full before you start eating. It keeps you full longer. It regulates the delivery of those sugars into your system, so you're not having that high spike and drop. It can reduce insulin spikes by 13% with 1 packet. If you're having something with high carbohydrates, or you want to do 2, it can reduce your insulin spike by 28%. So to get them, you're just going to go to my profile, tap on the link up here. When the box comes up below, tap on that again, and let's just show you. I didn't share it. So sorry, YouTube, Facebook, you're not going to see this one because I didn't do my job this morning. I'll go here for everybody else. So let's flip this camera. I'll show you. When you tap on that, when you tap on my picture and tap on the box that comes up, you're gonna get taken to my page. Glasses right here, okay? You're gonna click on the link right below the red light. That's gonna take you to my landing page where you'll see order the system is on the very top. And then you're just gonna click on that to order the system. So, and I get questions about this sometimes, guys. It is a couple of things. Make sure it has my name, Michelle Fayance. Michelle is my given name. I've been going by Misha for almost 30 years. And then you want to click on buy now. What I'm about to say is you do get 30 of the tea, so that covers your 1 every morning. Yep. And you get 60 of the balance, so that covers your 2 every day. They said they weren't going to have this after December, but apparently they still have some. So I would try the mixed berry while you can. It's kind of a creamy berry flavor. That one is amazing. And then, or you can do the orange flavor, which is like an orange creamsicle. But so you're getting 30 tea, 60 balance, 90 packets in total. Okay, so the next thing I always get asked is how much. It costs about $5 a day. So $154 for the system. If you do it on subscription, you can cancel that subscription at any time. And if you order now, you get this free hand mixer to help you mix up the tea and the fiber. So back to here. So that's the system. Now I have some people, you guys, 154. Let's break that down. It's $5 a day. I know that most of us, whether we like to admit it or not, are spending more than $5 a day on sodas or Starbucks or whatever, and that's destroying our health. So today, the first part of the year is the day when we make resolutions. How about we resolve to start taking care of our health? And making sure that we're spending as much money on building health as we do on destroying our health. You guys, my grandson was making fun of me. Desk. I have water. I have hot tea. I have cold tea. It's an ADHD symptom, but that's me. Okay, so the system works great, and we are going to talk about it tonight and why it's working. And all of that. Yes, doctors are doing it. We have cardiologists, neurologists, oncologists, endocrinologists now who are all doing the system and loving it and to prescribe it to their patients. The interesting thing is the system has been out for, the system itself has been out for 3 years. The products have been out for like 15 and 20 years. So the fiber product came out about the same time as Ozempic did. Not Ozempic, metformin. And of course it got squashed because it was big pharma against this this smaller company been around since 1903. For addressing insulin resistance is by actually addressing what's wrong. Part of what's wrong is that fiber has been stripped from our foods, and so it makes our food turn into glucose too quickly, and then that's causing these sugar spikes in the blood and causing the problems. So again, can you have carbohydrates? Yes. You want to make sure that you're having fiber with your carbohydrates, so it helps regulate how quickly that hits your system. I do have an ebook that's free for everybody. If you can't afford the system, I get it. When I started, I thought I couldn't afford it, but when my health changed, I was like, "There's no way I will not ever not afford it again." So class, yeah, you can do that, but here's the thing. Let's talk. Can we talk about fiber for a second? So there's two types of fiber. There's actually more than that, but we're going to talk about two main types of fiber. There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble after your first meal. That's if you're sweating after your first meal, that's probably, I'm not a doctor, you'd have to check with them, but I would think in my little head that there is a blood sugar dysregulation. So I can look up exactly the mechanism why that would be, but that to me leads to insulin problems as well. If it's tied to your eating and it's not an allergy, it's most likely an insulin problem. Okay. So if you're eating and you're having some weird action afterward, you're probably having an insulin problem or an allergy. Okay. So if it's something like sweating and not hives or not other things, I would take a look at insulin. And that's a really great question. I have never addressed that one. So let's talk about, because I went from sweating to having chills. I know that chills is and here's the thing, you guys. I'm just a normal person like you are. So I don't have answers for everything. I'm more than willing to go find them for you, okay? Fiber before each meal. Let's go back to that one. So two different types of fiber, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is long strands. So think of celery and bananas, and coconut has it in it too. Those strands form a matrix in your gut that makes it like a mesh. But you'll see there's little holes in this mesh, right? So some things are getting through. Those fibers are really good for cleaning you out. They're like a broom, just like sweep out the system. Soluble fibers will take in water. So they don't create that mesh. They create this like gelatin mass. Now, when you have this insoluble and the soluble, it's going in and it's creating this mesh, and then that gel fills it in. So now the gaps are filled, and Ruby Red from the words. Oh, hey, Jackie. Good morning. So Jackie's a Feel Great Warrior as well. Drink tea and eat fiber is better. Could I drink the tea you sell and eat fiber too? Yeah. So here's the thing with the tea I didn't say earlier. It's about 375 times more potent than the tea you're going to get that's bagged. This tea is specifically handpicked by the farmers that own their own farms, so ethically and sustainably harvested. Then it's taken through a fire roasting process to help release the components that we need to get to you for all of these actions out of it. Then it's extracted, and then it's concentrated to about 375 times the potency of tea. But then the gold is the fifth step. We take it to a in the gut that takes out toxins and pesticides. So now it's an extraction that's highly potent and extremely clean. So do you want to drink 375 bags of tea a day, or do you just want to take a tea, put it in some water, shake it up, and have it like I'm doing? All I did this morning was heat up this water, pour my tea in, and I'm good to go. And then I've been sipping on it. I'm almost done with my tea. And when I'm done with my warm tea now that was hot, I'll start drinking on my cold tea. I do have 2 a day because I love the effects and the benefits of it, which I can go into those if you guys need me to. All the sciencey stuff, the components, the chlorogenic acid, and the theobromine, and all the stuff that makes this tea healthy. Only available in yerba mate tea, and it's only available like this in this particular tea because it was scientifically designed to help. It was actually developed as a mental health tool but it works so well on metabolism. And then combined with the fiber, about 3 years ago, it was put together into this amazing system. So fiber, I want you to, thank you, Jackie. Thank you. 2 on Mondays and Fridays. Yeah. So I generally have, I mean, there's days where I only have one, but most days I have 2 of the tea every day. So I'll have one because, like Jackie says, sip, sip, sip. So I sip on my tea. This morning I made it about 7:30. It's 9:30. I'm finishing this up, and I'll switch to sipping on my cold tea. What that does is gives me energy. It gives me mental clarity. It helps me with my mood. I don't have crashes from it. I just feel this really gentle sense of energy. Fiber. There's about 5 grams of fiber in this, but let's talk about that. So when we talk about the type of fiber that you need and how you're going to get it, I get it. If you want to eat foods and you want to go and figure out what's giving you those specific fibers, because not every fiber does blood glucose regulation. If you Google it, there's 3 types of fiber that really do that. And then you want to figure out what those are. And then you have those foods available and you want to eat them every time you eat before you eat. Do that. I encourage that. But I'm not that, like, I have a hard time remembering to put my socks on some days. So for me, I like to have this tea that, again, I put in some water, shake it up, drink it 10 minutes before I eat. Now, can I still have fiber before a meal? Yes, I can. Do I still try to have more fiber in my day? Yes, I can. I do, because most of us are only getting in 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day, and we're having problems. And saying that we should get in probably closer to 30 grams. 2 of these gives me 10 extra grams of fiber a day. Does it cover every bit of fiber? Nope. But it's more like high octane fiber. Instead of trying to get in the right fibers from different sources and hoping that I got enough of the right ones, I know that I got enough of the right ones, and then I'm just adding to it. So one of the things I'm going to do, telling my daughter yesterday, now that I'm more and more fiber, what is, I can't even say his last name. Busuis. Busuis. He wrote a book on fiber, and I watch him a lot. But so I'm going to be doing 3 of these a day just to try and get my fiber up to like 15 to see what happens with my gut, because I had IBS really bad when I started this, you guys too. So we're trying to clean up years of abuse on my body. And whoever said thank you for the story, you're very, very, very welcome. Because I don't share my own story enough, because I just sometimes forget that everybody needs to hear where I came from so they can understand why I'm here talking about it. So I'm happy to share stories and help you guys understand what's possible. So that whole couldn't walk up and down the stairs, that was real. And now every time I'm able to go up and down the stairs without handrails and without pain, I kind of giggle. And then every time I go to the restroom and it's normal, I'm really happy, because that wasn't my life 2.5 years ago. So, yeah, I had so much family time. I love my family, but I had so much, and it was good. I hope everybody else's holidays were as good as mine. I know they weren't for everyone. I walked out of the building I'm in, and there was a mom and what I assume was 2 of her kids, and mom had been crying. We were talking about the holidays and how nothing is perfect with families and all this stuff, and it just made me sad. Like, was our holiday perfect? No, but our holiday was pretty excellent, because as a family we've learned to love each other through our differences and not focus on them, and focus on the time we have together and what we bring to each other's lives. So I hope you guys can all do that too. There is no need for all this animosity and stress at the holidays. Man, if you're not enjoying your holiday and you're not enjoying the people you're with, and you're not able to put aside some differences and find the beauty in each person you're spending time with, there's a problem in the world. It all starts here. Okay, the sidetrack. All right. I appreciate my family. I love my family so much. And It's interesting because my family, my son still doesn't do the system. I talk to him about it all the time. I wish he would. I know it would be very helpful for him. My daughter-in-law does. My daughter does. Two of my grandchildren do. The third granddaughter drinks the tea all the time. So now that the family has seen me do it and seen the benefits it's happened for me and what's changed my life over the last 2.5 years, they're starting to step in and they're starting to do it as well. My daughter, I think, is going to be doing the 48 fast with me every week. So let's talk about that because I have not. I know some of you guys are new in here this morning, even. So I had these aspirations of doing another 36 and 12 fast this month, starting this month. But I met this doctor who reached out to me and loved the way I talk about stuff and wants to work with me. So we're going to be talking tonight at 7 p.m. We're going to start to do it every Tuesday night for the time being. And we're going to talk about insulin resistance, people who are having weight loss issues with insulin resistance, even though the rest of their symptoms are getting better, and a number of things like fasting and why it's so helpful for the body and maintaining your skin elasticity as you're losing weight, and what to do to maintain muscle as you're losing weight. So tonight, right here on all these channels, 5 Mountain Time, 7 Eastern Time. We're going to be going live, and the doctor will talk about all things. We're going to be answering questions. It's not just going to be us talking. So bring your questions, ask him questions you have. We'll go over that. But so 48-hour fasting. For the next 2 months, I'm going to do a 48-hour fast every week. Now, for me, he believes in just a water fast. I've talked to Dr. Bickman, so there's, we're going to have a little bit of difference of opinion on some things. I'm still going to do, because I'm stubborn, I'm still going to do my tea every morning, even on my fasting days. I am today. Helps with my satiety, helps with my energy. I don't have any of that going on. I'm still going to be doing fiber in my gut, which, yes, is going to slow down some autophagy. I get that. But this fiber actually helps your body produce short chain fatty acids that help you produce ketones that help you burn fat. So this doesn't break my fast as far as insulin goes. For the first month, I'll probably be doing these two, and then I'll decide if I'm going to do his water only fast after that. But 48-hour fast every week for 2 months, I'm going to do to see what we can shift in my insulin resistance, and then maybe I'll be doing that the rest of my life. I don't know. But is there probably going to be a week in the rest of my life where I do a 48-hour fast? Yeah. Yep, it's life. Am I going to try and do that every week? Yes. So if you guys want to join me, start the fast when you can, and then listen to me and the doctor talk, the doctor and I talk, that's improper languaging as well. The doctor and me talk about it all tonight, and then every Tuesday. So along with it, I just ordered the rest of my cleanse because I forgot to do it before. So I'm going to say on the 15th, we'll start doing the cleanse. That's available through the company as well. But we're going to do a cleanse that's aimed at helping get toxins out of that so that we can clean up all of this stuff along with the fasting and even deeper affect the insulin resistance. So if you're interested in the cleanse, message me. I do it twice a year anyway. It just is a really good reset for the gut. Now, if you guys don't know, the gut really affects the body. I mean, I'm hearing more doctors talk about, more and more doctors talk about regulating your insulin and stop focusing on and down regulating sugar. I'm hearing more and more doctors talk about fasting and the gut and how the gut is impacting the rest of our health, and how if your gut's sick, then the rest of your health is sick. You guys got to get that gut healthy before the rest of your body starts to get healthy. If you have a diseased and inflamed gut, everything else in your body is going to feel inflamed and sick. So gut health is hugely important. The fiber that I use helps with that. It's help building prebiotics, which feed your own probiotics. What a lot of people are doing are trying to drink probiotics to help their gut health, and then they're still dumping excess sugar and all this stuff stuff that's feeding more of the negative microbiome in your gut, and it just doesn't work. You can't continually douse something to try and keep it clean when you're continually rolling it in the dirt. So I'm not talking about getting rid of all sugar. I'm talking about making sure that you're not having high carbohydrate foods, that you're having enough fiber in to deal with those carbohydrates so that your body doesn't have all the dysregulation. There was something that just came through my head, and I can't remember what I was going to talk about because it's just kind of off the cuff morning this morning. I lost it already. I lost it. Okay, guys, it's that time. I'm going to hop off, take care of some other things. I need to know more about the system, or you want to ask me questions about insulin resistance or have me look stuff up, let me know. There's on that link in my bio. There is also a way to get a hold of me on WhatsApp. And then for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you guys, I'm putting a link in over there. It's interesting that sometimes TikTok lets the link show up in the feed and sometimes it doesn't. Hey, from Costa Rica. You're very, very welcome, you guys. I try to do this every Friday around 8 o'clock. My life is hectic, so and then I'll answer questions as they come up. I also have a group. Oh, the ebook. We started talking about that. You guys download the ebook. It's also available on that webpage. So ebook, 6 simple steps. You guys want the 6 simple steps that you're going to follow to start addressing your insulin resistance, whether you can afford the system or not. Let's talk about that. The first thing is fiber first. And somebody kept asking about fiber, and I kept getting distracted, and I did say it, but I do this fiber. You guys, I've had people do this and then say, I'm going to do this because it's cheaper, and then back and say, that didn't work. Back on the system, or have a woman who was doing this and her husband was doing this and say, why are you spending so much on this? He ran out of this. She put this in his lunchbox. He came home that day and said, there is no comparison. I will never go back to this after trying this. So the fiber you get in makes it. Now, the cleanse that I'm going to be doing, a different type of fiber in it. Let's go back to the ebook because I'm getting off track. So fiber first before you eat, every time you eat. For me, I want to make it simple, so I do this mixed in water. Then whatever I eat is great. You guys, by the way, salad does not have enough fiber in it for it to make a difference for you. I was just listening to a doctor talk about fiber, and I think it was the one that wrote the fiber book, about how that amount of fiber, that type of fiber, isn't really doing you any good. So just eating a big salad is not getting you the fiber you need. All right, fiber first. Then you want to focus on proteins. The first thing I eat on my plate is protein. And it should be about the size of your fist, okay? So that amount of protein in every day. Now, with proteins, you need to pair it with fats. There's specific reasons. I don't know how time in the morning. If somebody wants to know, I'm more than happy to go over it. But fiber, protein, and then fats. Why in that order? Protein gives you building blocks. Protein also gives you energy. Protein helps you keep that muscle mass that's keeping your metabolism high. Protein also doesn't spike your insulin as much as carbohydrates, about half as much. Protein also, the 3 macronutrients, feeling the fullest, the longest, and the soonest. So you want to stay full and you want to stop all the overeating. You got to up your protein. Fiber, protein, fats. Fats are the next most satiating, and they don't spike your insulin. Good. Petty Me says this specific protocol has really helped her sugar levels, and it should. So then, protein, fat, and you're going to limit your carbs. I don't want you to focus on, I've got to get rid of all sugar. I want you to focus on making sure that the sugars you're getting in are complex. Try to get them from whole foods. Try to get them from dark green vegetables. Try to get them from some healthy fruits like pears and berries, even oranges and apples. But stop filling your face with the refined sugars that you buy off the shelf. So I'm not saying get rid of sugar. I'm just saying attention to where you're getting it from, and your vegetables have glucose or sugars in them. Okay, so understand that. Then you're gonna do some intermittent fasting. For most people on the system, A 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window is what we're aiming for, and that's so super simple. If anybody wants to know the science behind why 16 and 8, I'm more than happy to address that this morning as well. Just put a 1 in if you want me to go over the 16 and 8 fast. That's what I'll do on every day that I'm not doing a 48-hour fast. Then move your body. So I have a specific time frame that I work on business tasks in the morning. And then after this morning, or today, I'm going to get back to, I have a time period where I say meditation. That's good for your insulin. Do you guys know that? Calming yourself down, getting your cortisol levels down is going to help your insulin. But I want to move my body. I want to get back to that woman who is lifting weights all the time. I want to get back to that level of health, and I want to stop all the excuses. Because look, I'm human. I have made some of the same mistakes and same excuses as everyone else. So I'm not perfect. And that's why I'm here, because I want to bring a system that works for people who aren't perfect, who just have a real life. That's what this is all about. So the 16-8 fast, Margot's asking me to explain that. Great. I love it. Thank you. So when we eat, what we're trying to do is get energy into our system. When we fast, what we're trying to do is get the insulin levels that are resultant from the energy down so that we can have a number of things happen. Let's see what that looks like. I don't know who that is, you guys. I'm not. Somebody says I look like Beata from the Maya Kowalski case. I have no idea what any of that is, because I don't watch a lot of TV unless I'm watching furniture flipping or nutrition and health stuff. Okay, so yeah, what else is going on out there? I'm not really aware of, to be honest, and that's okay. All right, so when we eat, our blood sugar levels are going to go up because our body starts converting that to energy. What in our bloodstream is glucose. Why our bloodstream? Because that's kind of like this transport system throughout the body, right? So it goes through our mouth. We have digestive enzymes that are created when we start eating. So our digestive system is from the mouth to the butt. All these enzymes and reactions that happen need to happen. So whole foods are the best because you're allowing that to happen. Smoothies take a lot of that digestive chewing, and now you're starting to have problems with insulin too. Sidetrack. Okay, so you eat. About 2 hours later, your blood sugars are going to spike because your food has gone through all of this stuff. It's gone through the gut. It's gone through the stomach. It's into the intestines, where that energy that the stomach all broke down into usable parts is now in the intestines, and it's kind of like leaching out into the system. So then your blood sugars are a little high, and about 4 hours later it takes before any of those blood sugars start to really come down and normalize again. Think about that. If it's 2 hours for the blood sugar to reach its height and about 4 hours for it to come back down, and we're eating every 2 hours, we're just continually spiking our insulin or our sugars, right? Now, a couple hours after that blood sugar actually comes down is when our insulin will start to come down. The more insulin resistant you are, the more you've called on this insulin to be out there all the time, the longer insulin is going to take for it to start to come down. We really have to start to work on becoming insulin sensitive. In time, it could be that in 6 hours your insulin levels come down. But for most people right now, it's 8 to 10 hours. You had your last bite of food before your insulin levels actually drop. Okay? So when that happens, there's a component that we don't focus on very much, but it's important in your metabolism. So insulin is a saver. It wants to take all this energy, it wants to distribute it out, it wants to save it. Glucose, because everything in the body is yin yang. There's always a on, light, dark action going on in the body. It's never just one thing. There's always two sides to every story. So the other side to the insulin story is glucagon. It's a spender. Insulin is anabolic. It wants things to grow. It wants to save things. Glucagon is catabolic. It wants to eat things up. It wants to get rid of excess stuff out of the system. So if you can, the body is set up to listen to insulin more than it does glucagon, because if glucagon took control, we would all waste away, right? So we've got to get them down, though, so glucagon can come out, because glucagon cannot be in the system as long as insulin is awake and active. So 8 hours or so after you've eaten before your insulin level comes, then it takes a couple hours. Now we're at 10 hours before glucagon goes, oh, hey, insulin's not there anymore. It's been a while since I've seen him. I can come out and do my job now. So now glucagon comes out and he's like, yay. Okay, I'm going to do my job now. Fat cells, come here. We want to get rid of you. Excess dead cells, stuff that needs to go. We want to get rid of you. We can start doing this now. Insulin is gone, not forcing us to hold on to this stuff. That's at about 10 hours when glucagon comes out. But it takes about 12 hours for your gut to really start to reset and start to really produce these fatty acids and whatnot that we need to burn fat, to get rid of the energy in our system. So now that happens around 12 hours, but 14 hours to the gut is when you start really having some fat burning, when those acids are coming out, when the ketones are coming out, when your HGH is up, so that you can actually start to burn fat for fuel. And so what we do is allow about 2 hours of that. So you're getting some good benefit. You've gotten past all of that time. You get some good benefit. And at about 16 hours, you break your fast. Now, some people to do OMAD. I don't do OMAD once in a while, but I think we need more nutrients in a day than OMAD can give us most days. So, but that in a nutshell is the intermittent fast. Now, why we do it the time of day we do is because of a couple of reasons. So is there a more optimal time? Probably. But look, if you sit down to have dinner with your family, which is dumb that most people sit down with their family, rushing out in the morning for breakfast, they're at work or at school for lunch. Dinner is the one meal that families sit down together. So that's why we do it in the afternoon, so the family can still sit down and have their meal together in today's world. Then you go to sleep, and you're sleeping off the first 8-10 hours of that fast. You wake up, you just have a couple hours to get through, and you're good, right? So that's the 16-8 fast, and why we do it that. There's some efficacy to doing your eating window a little earlier in the day and having your fasting window start in the evening. If you're single like me, or don't have family members that you're having dinner with, you can do the eating window earlier in the day. We just adjust it. So that's it. Can you sip liquids in between, as long as the liquids are spiking insulin? So coffee, this tea, water, yes. If you're drinking fruit juice or high sugar foods, no, because it still is getting sugar into your system. And so when you don't include sugar in your diet, I feel really dizzy. So you're so sugar adapted that your body thinks you need sugar to function. When you start to reduce that sugar, start to replace it with things like proteins and fats, you're going to find that dizziness starts to go away. Or complex carbohydrates, like your vegetables and things like pears are great, and berries are great. So pears, because they're high in fiber, they're lower in the glycemic scale, so not delivering as much sugar to you, but they're also high in one of the components that's in this tea that I love so much, which is chlorogenic acids. And those chlorogenic acids are helping with your brain function. They're helping with a number of things like energy and satiety, so that you just feel better. So pears are a great food. I haven't been eating enough pears in the last month and a half. Things have been crazy. So as I look at my fridge when I go shopping this week, one of the fiber and carbohydrate foods that I want to put in my fridge is going to be pears, and then some berries. Pears last longer than berries, and they have the chlorogenic acids that berries don't. So I love pears. And I heard, who was it? Dr. Lee was talking about pears and him, that being one of his top 5 foods when he's talking about health and this insulin. Pears. Okay, so somebody on Facebook asked pears again, Patty. Thank you, because you maybe missed that. Pears are high in fiber, and that's one of the things I talk about. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So she said she must have missed it. Pears are high in fiber. They're probably higher in fiber than like apples and oranges. So they're high in fiber. They have less glucose in them or sugar in them, fructose in them. So it's not spiking your insulin quickly. So higher fiber, lower on the glycemic scale, probably lower on the glycemic scale in good part due to the fiber in them. But the one thing in pears that sets them apart from all the other fruits and why this doctor likes them is chlorogenic acids. So let's talk about chlorogenic acids and why they're so beneficial. They're one of the components that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and get nutrients into the brain. So not everything we eat crosses that blood-brain barrier, and thank God, right? Because our brain is like so super. It's like it is the power in our body. So if we damage our brain, then we have problems everywhere. So our body protects our brain. Chlorogenic acids are one of the things that the brain says, "Ooh, I like this. I'm going to let it through." Pears are high in chlorogenic acids, probably higher in chlorogenic acids than any other fruit. Lower on the glycemic scale than many other fruits. So low on glycemic scale, high in fiber, high in this chlorogenic acid, feelings of well-being, clarity, energy, and getting nutrients into the brain. Pears are amazing, and I love them. I actually put them in some of my smoothies once in a while. I know I just said don't have smoothies, but every once in a while, in an effort to get my protein levels up, I do have like a protein shake, and I will make sure that it has about 30 grams of protein in it. Sometimes I add a pear and some cinnamon in it, and it's amazing, by the way. So pears are really great for on the fruit side for getting them in. So I hope that answers that. Perfect. Thanks. Milk with coffee, please, or black coffee. Black. So milk, you guys with milk. Patty says she's been getting the best Bartlett pears and craving them lately. You guys, one of the things we have to be careful with cravings, right? Because you got to be self-aware. Cravings can be like, oh, I need something sugary because we're so inundated by sugar. But I love this craving that Patty's talking about. Those kinds of cravings. Like I used to crave just like chicken and grapefruit. And when my naturopathic doctor tested me, I was like, oh gosh, he's going to do this test. He's going to tell me my vitamins and minerals are all off. He's going to tell me that, because that's what I lived on basically for months when I was younger, was chicken and grapefruit. And he was like, I've never seen anybody with vitamins and mineral panel, just so great. And all the time I'm just saying, what are you doing? And I, well, listening to your body and what your body needs, and I think that's important for everyone. Listen to what your body needs. But Patty, so your body might be needing pears, and I think that's a great craving to lean into. So that's amazing. Milk. Okay, back to milk with coffee. No, most of you guys are drinking 2% or 1% milk. How many of you guys are drinking 2% or 1% milk? Put a 1 in if you're 1%, 2 in if you're 2%, 3 if you actually drink whole milk or heavy cream. 1 for 1% or non-fat, 2 for 2%, 3 for whole or heavy cream. Which kind of milk are you guys drinking? Because it's important. Yeah. Does anybody know? Does anybody care to say? All right. So when we're having those low-fat milk, right? What you're really doing is you're taking the fat, the nutrient that your body really needs to feel satiated, to help your metabolism, and to help in other things in your body. You're taking that away, and what you're left with is the glucose part. So when you're drinking low-fat milk, you're getting high amounts of sugar, but you're not getting the stuff that's helping you stay satiated. So that low-fat milk can be causing some more of your sugar cravings because that's high in sugar. So coffee with milk in it? No. Coffee with a tablespoon of high-fat, whole, heavy cream? Occasionally, probably. Okay? It still is going to have some glucose. When I talked to Dr. Bickman about this whole fasting and glucose thing, for our purposes, for insulin resistance purposes, we just want to have things that are not spiking our insulin. The tea does not spike your insulin. The balance does not spike your insulin. Okay, so you can have those during our fasting period. You can have coffee during the fasting period. The tea, most people that are coffee drinkers that have tried the tea have switched over to the tea because they notice the energy is much smoother. They don't have the crashes and they just feel better when they're drinking the tea than when they're just drinking coffee. Okay, coffee, yes. Just don't be putting all those additives of creamers and stuff in. Yeah, Patty. Then so Patty says she usually pays attention to cravings apart from sugar and refined junk foods. And I think that's what we all need to lean into. So I was craving eggs for a while there during the holidays. And like when I sat down, I mean, I would tell them like, and cheese right now is like whatever it is with cheeses, I just want cheeses right now. So I'll lean into that. If I'm gonna have protein, I'm gonna add some cheese right now because my body's saying this is what I need. And get rid of those I need sugar. That's that toxic relationship, right? Um I would say stop focusing on the sugar, and we're talking about sugar. What I mean by stop focusing on the sugar is start focusing on insulin. Make sure that you're regulating your insulin and you're thinking about what regulates your insulin more than you're focusing on, I got to get the sugar out of my system. And if you guys missed why I'm saying that, ask and I'll tell you. But there's a very big reason, and more doctors are talking to us about how this whole focusing on the sugar is actually causing more insulin resistance. Focusing on getting the sugar out is actually causing you to be more insulin resistant. It's crazy, but it makes sense if you know, I'll tell you. So, okay. Oh, and Alzheimer's, I didn't add it to this one over here on TikTok. One of the things with Alzheimer's, I talked about it at the very first, and not all of you were here. So, Alzheimer's, the drugs that they're using for Alzheimer's, creating this insulin in your system. So what they're doing is, again, trying to get numbers down to affect the Alzheimer's disorder, right? Alzheimer's is caused by and large by unregulated blood sugars or too much insulin in the system. So when they have medications that are pumping up the level of insulin, now you're becoming more insulin resistant. You're adding more of what you're resistant to into your body. So if you think about an alcoholic, would it ever be healthy to be like, oh, you're alcoholic, you're having problems, let's have some more alcohol? And yet that's what they're doing with insulin resistance. So there's a question, what about honey with the tea? Honey is going to spike your extremely high. Do I? Yes. Do I like honey in my eating window? Yes. Not in my fasting window. Honey is going to give you a huge insulin spike. So during the fasting time, no. If you're having another tea, which I usually do throughout the day, and you're having it during your eating window, then you can have honey. But I'm going to tell you, if I'm going to have a tea with honey in it, I'm probably going to have this little packet before I have that particular tea because of the sugar levels in it. Does honey have benefits? Yes. But one of the downsides of honey is that it does spike your insulin. Okay. So, it's going to take care of something. Oh, just want to. Okay, so and then there was a question I didn't answer it earlier because I'm like I used to. I just want to deal with all that. It was talking about how do people like me talk about this. I worked in medical for years. Does that mean that I have a right to talk about it more than anybody else? No. I suffered from all the stuff up above, and I got better from it, and I started finding out why, and I've talked to scientists and whatnot about it, and so I come in here and I share that with you guys. I don't know. I think that somebody who suffered with it and who had doctors who couldn't take care of her, and I've gotten everything under control except for some excess weight. I think that's some valuable information. You know, so that's why I'm in here talking about it, you guys, because I suffered from this stuff, and now I'm on a mission to help other people so they don't have to suffer with it too. I do my best to go out and find real information. I listen to doctors and metabolic scientists and not just the random guy like me. But, that's where my information comes. Actually, things like the book We Get Sick by Dr. Bickman. You guys read this, read it. There's also another book I just ordered, and I'm going to start listening. I ordered on audiobook because I can listen to that while I'm doing other stuff. But it's Rethinking Diabetes. I can put a link to that in my recommendations page as well. I haven't read it. Bickman recommends it, so I'm excited to read that book because they're talking about how we've gotten diabetes treatment and care all wrong, and how we need to readdress what we're thinking about when we think about treatment of diabetes. And all the stuff that I'm talking about is included in that. That's what I was going to talk about. There's my cough. I spoke with a really amazing lady the other day. And so here's something I want to discuss really quickly before I hop off this morning. But it's amazing to me, and it's part of how our subconscious works. A lot of studies, I did a little work with subconscious before doing this. So our mind will try to protect us, our subconscious will. But sometimes it gives us cues that are not correct. So a lady started the system. She started to have a cough. She got laryngitis, basically. She started having phlegm that was coming up, and she was worried that this is causing it. And so we had discussion. Right now, there's a lot of bugs, viral things going around that are causing those symptoms. But it's really easy when you try something new to try and blame everything that you're feeling on that thing instead of just stepping back and being like, oh, it's cold and flu season. There's a lot of people around me who have a cough, who are coughing up phlegm. Coughing up phlegm and getting laryngitis doesn't clear up in 2 or 3 days. It can take a month. So when you're looking at the system and when you're looking at doing anything new for your health, try to be discerning in what you're thinking is the benefit or the negative from it, and ask questions. There's nothing wrong with that. I get it. And that is fear mongering, when people think they're sick from something that's creating because it happens to be that type of year. Hey Jim, how are you doing? Happy New Year. Okay, so a couple more questions. Tara, thank you. She's learned more from me in the past few weeks than from any of the dozen doctors we've seen in the past 15 years. You guys, and that's how I felt. Like, I'm not claiming to know more, be better than anybody. I claim to be able to go out and do some research and to listen to people who know and start putting the pieces together. But my own doctor, we fought like for years. Not we didn't fight. I loved her. She's one of the most brilliant doctors that I had worked with and dealt with. That's why she was my doctor. But she couldn't figure out this thing. Well, here's the thing, you guys. Doctors are only given about one nutrition class in school. They're taught what the pharmaceutical industry wants them to know, and that is to address everything with a medication. A lot of doctors breaking away from that. But even her, we cycled me through different medications to try and get my blood pressure down. She wasn't educated on the fact that insulin is causing blood pressure problems, or we probably would have dealt with it much sooner. But she supported my choices, and we talked things as I went along. And but even she hadn't figured out how to regulate my blood pressure, how to help with any of the other things that were going on, the joints that were failing, any of that. My health was just falling apart, and she was frustrated and scared. She was a good friend. She was frustrated and scared that, like, I'm falling apart and she doesn't know how to help me. But I had so many symptoms because all of that stuff up there, when a doctor looks at those, like, okay, there's this symptom, what's going on here, and we're going to go down this path. But not very many have been taught that all of this links in. And so now when a doctor gets a panel and says, oh, they've got sleep apnea, oh, they have PCOS, oh, they're having some random pain, maybe called fibromyalgia, oh, they're having migraines, oh, they're having weight problems, maybe this is linked to one thing and not separate things. So it's not their fault. It's how they were trained, and we just have to start shifting. A lot of doctors are shifting, and that's great. But if you're like me and you've been to doctors and they aren't helping, By the way, my doctor uncovered stuff for people that so many other doctors never even knew. So, like, I in no way would ever say anything bad about her. Amazing person. But when my right arm was going numb and tingly and I was losing strength in it, like another piece, right? Instead of going, oh, hey, there's problems in the right arm. Her blood pressure is high. She's having, maybe her ticker's about to go. That whole piece. I missed that whole piece. It wasn't until when this arm started getting better, as my blood pressure came down, I was like, oh man, when people said, how are you still alive when you had a blood pressure of 180 over 150 every day? How are you still here? That's impossible. No, it's not. But that right arm tingling, that right arm numbness means that my heart was probably on the verge of saying, I'm done. I'm done. So yeah, yes, I'm to try and figure out what's going on to help as many people as possible, to help you guys understand from somebody who's at the same level as you. I'm just a human being. I'm just a grandma with 2 kids and 4 grandkids who's living her life trying to do the best she can and trying to help other people understand what may be going on with them. That's what we're okay. All right, I'm going to hop off. Now remember, tonight I will put up a video today announcing it too, and I'll try and do a post on Facebook and Insta and all that. The doctor and I will be live tonight about 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about all things insulin resistance. We're going to talk about some resistant weight loss with insulin resistance. Even though you seem to be getting everything else under control, can't lose weight. We ask your questions. We're going to talk about all of it tonight. So on the channel you're watching, we'll be live there. And I hope to see you. And if not, we'll see you at 8 in the morning. Again, if you want the system that changed my life, this simple system that's a tea in the morning and the 2 pre-meal drinks, because I talk so much about the stuff, but I don't talk about how I overcame it. I dropped the link in Facebook. I'll drop it again. But on TikTok, you're just going to go to my profile. And then when that comes up, click the next box. There's a landing page that comes up. Before I do go, though, too, because when people say, the doctor that I'm with has a chat group that all the people he's helping, he asked, is it on Amazon yet? Yeah, it's on Amazon. But if you go to Amazon, you don't get the 90-day money back guarantee, you don't get the coaching, and you don't get the quality guarantees. There is no one authorized on Amazon, eBay, Walmart to do these things. And so you're going to end up paying more as well. By the way, there is a 90-day money back guarantee for 90 days. Utilize coaching, ask these questions when you can. After 90 days, you'll get your money back. But invest in yourself this new year to get your health under control. It's simple: a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before you eat. You can get it at my link, and I will be there to help you. When I see it come through, I'll start sending you texts and emails and say, hey, let's work together and get you better. Okay. Heavy metals can cause, you've been type 1 diabetic for 42 years. Are you 42 years old, Lori? So your pancreas isn't working. Sorry, I just saw these comments. Heavy metals can actually cause that too. Yes. But for me, being specific to my right arm leads to my heart having problems. Okay. Type 1 diabetic means you're and it could be LADA, but you're 50, so you didn't develop type 1 diabetes, or it was undiagnosed before you were 9. Undiagnosed would be very unlikely because you'd be having problems. So your pancreas gave out. Whatever, that could have been genetics, that could have been a number of things. Diet is important. The system works for type 1 diabetics just like it does for type 2 diabetics, because what we're really doing is regulating the glucose in your system so that the insulin levels can come down. Yeah. So with the system, what we're doing is regulating that. So we have a number of type 1 diabetics able to like turn their pump down, so they're not having to have as much insulin, or stop as many injections, so they're long acting insulin, blah. and their short-acting insulin have been both reduced. Most of them have said their long-acting insulin has been reduced by 40% with type 1 diabetics. And so there's that. So I was losing feeling and I was having numbness and tingling in my right arm only. They were looking for damage, a dislocation. They were looking, we ran all these complicated tests to find out why I couldn't hold a glass of water with my right hand after being a power lifter who pulled 500 pounds and had that weight in her hand. Now all of a sudden I can't hold a cup. We're talking about my right arm. Okay. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing, but if you're having problems with your right arm, like numbness, tingling, weakness, and you have high blood pressure, ask your doctor, how's your heart doing? There's a link. Okay. All right, guys, I hope that answers just about everything for this morning. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be tonight with the doctor. I will get those posts up so that they're there and you guys can find them on all the platforms. And I hope to see you tonight. It should be good. I'm really excited to start doing this weekly with him and answering your questions and helping even more in the way with your health and get you under control. So I'm starting an hour fast every week for the next 2 months at least. And I'm also going to start a cleanse on the 15th. You want to join me in that? Message me and ask me questions and ask for support and help through that. I'm here for it. And let's just, the whole purpose of doing the 48-hour fast is to allow the body to reset, to allow these insulin levels to come down. And when you do it properly, you're not going to be losing muscle, losing fat. You're not going to be losing loads of muscle. You're not going to have all that go on. And the doctor's going to talk to us about that tonight. So we'll see you tonight. And I'm going to run now. Have a good day, guys.